My life was pretty straightforward until Jake came along. I was a fitness trainer at a local gym, spending my days helping folks shape up, which kept me busy enough not to dwell on the lack of drama in my personal life. That all changed the day Jake walked into my gym. "Hey, I'm looking to switch up my routine. Got any killer moves to start with?" he asked, his tone light but his gaze intense. I gave him a once-over. He wasn't the usual newbie, unsure of which machine to try first. No, he looked like he knew his way around a gym, but was here for something more. "Sure," I replied, leading him to a set of weights. "Let's see what you've got." That first session turned into a week, then a month, and our casual chats grew longer and more personal. Jake owned a small family restaurant, famous for its authentic Italian dishes. "It's all about the sauce," he'd say, "and nobody makes it like my mom." He talked about his mother with a mix of admiration and frustration, a combo that hinted at deep family ties. One afternoon, as we wrapped up a particularly intense workout, he caught me off guard. "Listen, Emily, I've been thinking. How about dinner at my place? You can meet my mom and try that sauce I keep bragging about." I hesitated, more out of surprise than disinterest. "Yeah, why not? I'm curious if it's as good as you claim." Dinner was cozy, the food incredible, and the company surprisingly comfortable. His mother, Anna, was all warm smiles and hearty laughs, though her eyes seemed to size me up with every glance. His younger sister, Sophia, dropped by too, her presence more prickly, her words sharp and quick. "So, Emily, Jake tells us you're quite the fitness guru," Sophia said, a smirk playing on her lips as she eyed the muscles I worked hard to build. "Ever deal with hopeless cases, or do you just make the fit fitter?" I chuckled, taking her jab in stride. "I believe everyone has potential. It's all about finding the right motivation." Jake was a constant during those early days, always showing up at the gym at the same time, always finding a reason to talk a little longer. "You know, I never believed in fate or any of that stuff," he confessed one evening as we closed up the gym together. "But meeting you? Maybe I was wrong." His words were a mix of rough charm and clumsy sincerity. It was refreshing, and despite the nagging voice in my head warning me to take it slow, I found myself falling for him. Hard and fast, like a rookie taking on too much weight without a spotter. One chilly evening, as we walked to our cars, he stopped and faced me, his expression serious. "Emily, I'm not good at this fancy talking, and I don't have a smooth line to throw your way. But I like you, a lot. What do you say we make this official?" It was abrupt and straightforward. No games, no dancing around the subject. That was Jake, direct and all in. I smiled, my heart hammering in my chest. "I say, yes. Let's see where this goes." And just like that, I was no longer just the fitness trainer at the local gym. I was Jake's girlfriend, and soon enough, his wife. Moving into Jake's mom's house right after we got married wasn't exactly what I had pictured for our happily ever after. Jake told me it was important to him because of his family ties, but living with his mom, Anna, and his sister, Sophia, was tough from the start. They didn't hide their displeasure about me joining the family, and things got tenser day by day. The house was always bustling, and somehow I ended up with more than my fair share of chores. After long hours at the gym, I'd come home to an endless list of tasks. The old washing machine was a nightmare. It broke down so often that I half joked it had something personal against me. But nobody else seemed to notice or care, especially not Anna or Sophia. I remember one evening after dinner, I was trying to fix that blasted machine again, and I could hear them in the kitchen. "She doesn't even know what she's doing," Sophia laughed, not bothering to lower her voice. "Watch, she'll flood the basement next." Their laughter echoed down the hallway, stinging more than I wanted to admit. I bit my tongue, focusing on the task at hand. It wasn't just the washing machine, it was everything. From cooking to cleaning, my efforts were just another source of entertainment for them. Cooking was the worst. Italian cuisine was sacred in this house, and my attempts were apparently blasphemous. I tried to follow Anna's recipes to the letter, but nothing seemed to work. One night, as I struggled with a supposedly simple pasta dish, Sophia hovered in the doorway. "Is that supposed to look like that?" she asked, a smirk playing on her lips. "It's nothing like Mom's." I gritted my teeth, stirring the sauce that just wouldn't thicken. "Well, I'm trying my best here." Sophia snorted. "Maybe your best isn't good enough. Did you ever think of that?" I wanted to snap back, to defend myself, but what was the point? It wouldn't change anything. Jake, whenever he was around, seemed to shrink a little more each time his sister or mother criticized me. He never stood up for me, his silence was as loud as their laughs. "Hey, Emily, just leave it," Jake would say quietly later, trying to avoid any confrontation. "It's not worth it." Dinner times were an ordeal. I'd set the dishes on the table, hoping for a peaceful meal, but it was like sitting down in a lion's den. "You know, in Italy, they'd probably ban you from the kitchen for this," Anna would joke as she tasted my food, the others chuckling along. "Yeah, maybe stick to what you know, gym stuff," Sophia would add, passing the salt like it was a peace offering I didn't deserve. I would nod, smile, and swallow the hurt, my frustration simmering like the sauce that never turned out right. Living with Jake's family made every day feel like a battle I wasn't prepared for. As my pregnancy progressed, the house chores, which already felt like they were all on me, became even more demanding. Instead of getting any help or understanding from Anna and Sophia, I felt their hostility grow stronger. One afternoon, I was trying to vacuum the living room, moving slower than usual, because of my growing belly. Anna walked in, watched me for a moment, and then let out a sigh that seemed to carry all her disapproval. "Emily, you missed a spot over there. And look at how slow you're moving. This house is going to fall apart at this rate," she said, pointing at a corner I hadn't gotten to yet. I straightened up, feeling the strain in my back. "I'm doing the best I can, Anna. It's a bit harder with the baby." She just sked and shook her head. "In my time, we didn't let a little thing like pregnancy slow us down. You need to toughen up." The lack of sympathy stung, and I bit my tongue to keep from snapping back. Sophia was no better. Later that day, as I was folding laundry, she came into the room and started flipping through the clothes I had just stacked neatly. "You do know these aren't folded right, don't you? They should be able to stand up on their own, like how Mom taught us. Here, let me show you." Again. She tossed the shirt she was holding back onto the pile, messing up what I had done. As she refolded the same shirt with sharp, practiced movements, I felt my frustration rise. "Sophia, I appreciate the lesson, but I've folded clothes before. I'm not an idiot." She just raised her eyebrows, a cold smile playing on her lips. Could have fooled me. But hey, if you're okay with being mediocre, who am I to argue? Her words felt like a slap, and for a moment, I just stood there, watching her make my efforts seem pointless. It was the same with cooking. Every meal I attempted was met with criticism or outright laughter, especially if I tried to make anything Italian. One evening, I decided to try again, making a simple pasta dish I thought I had mastered. I was stirring the pot when Sophia walked into the kitchen. "What's that supposed to be?" she asked, peering into the pot with a skeptical look. "It's spaghetti carbonara. I thought it might be nice for dinner," I said, hoping for a change in her usual harsh tone. She took a fork, twirled some pasta onto it, and tasted it with an exaggerated expression of disgust. "Nice? This is what you call nice? I wouldn't feed this to the dog. It's all wrong." I slammed the pot's lid down a little harder than necessary. "Well, it's what's for dinner, so if you don't like it, you're welcome to make something else." The tension in the house grew every day, and Jake's absence didn't help. He was always at the restaurant, always busy, and when he was home, he avoided any conflict. Whenever I tried to talk to him about how his sister and mother were treating me, he'd just sigh and say something like, "I know it's tough, Emily, but try to hang in there. They'll warm up to you eventually. Just give it time." After giving birth to my son, I hoped things might get better, but the reality was just the opposite. I had gained a good amount of weight during pregnancy, which became the new source of their mockery. "Look at how much she's eating. Anna would laugh as I tried to nourish myself for breastfeeding. Are you feeding a child or a small army? One day, while I was nursing my son in the living room, I heard Sophia mimic a cow's moo from the kitchen. The sound sliced through me, and tears pricked my eyes. It was clear they saw me as nothing more than a cow, a utility for my son. I reached my breaking point after the mocking, and the cold treatment at home became too much. I needed something for myself, a space where I wasn't just the criticized daughter-in-law or the underappreciated wife. That's when I decided to start my own YouTube channel and Instagram page. One morning, while Jake was at the restaurant and Sophia was out shopping, I set up my old camera in the corner of our cramped guest room, my new makeshift gym. I'm doing this, I muttered to myself, adjusting the angle. For me, not for them. I started recording simple workout videos, ones that could be done at home, especially appealing to moms like me who couldn't always hit the gym. It felt awkward at first, talking to a camera, pretending I was speaking to an audience who cared about what I had to say. But soon, it became my refuge. The first few videos were clumsy, my commentary stilted. Hey everyone, it's Emily here, bringing you a quick 10-minute workout perfect for busy moms. Let's get started. My follower count started to grow, and with it, my confidence. I invested in a better camera, learned a bit about lighting and editing from online tutorials. My little project was turning into something real, something entirely mine. One afternoon, I was recording a new video, a low-impact cardio sequence, when Sophia barged into the room. "What the hell are you doing?" she snapped, her eyes darting from the camera to me. "You turning our home into your personal TV show now?" I paused the recording, my heart pounding not from the exercise, but from the confrontation. "Yes, I am actually. It's something important to me. I need something of my own, Sophia." She scoffed, looking around with disdain. "You think you're some kind of star? Please, get over yourself, Emily." The words hurt, but I was getting better at handling her barbs. "Well, it's not like I have your approval for anything else around here. I might as well do one thing I enjoy." Sophia rolled her eyes and stormed out, but I didn't stop the camera for long. I resumed my session, my voice stronger than before. As my digital presence grew, so did the opportunities. Brands started reaching out to me, offering to send free products for me to use in my videos. Then came the offers for sponsored posts. The first time a brand offered me money to feature their product, I was in disbelief. "I can't believe they're paying me for this," I said to Jake over dinner one night, trying to share my excitement. "That's great, Emily," he said, though his tone was distracted, his mind on his restaurant troubles. "Just keep it quiet, okay? Mom and Sophia don't need to know about this." As I turned back to the dishes, a notification pinged on my phone. Another comment, another follower, another step away from the disdain and towards something beautifully ordinary, but all mine. "You're doing amazing, Emily. Thanks for sharing your journey," the comment read. My channel wasn't just a hobby anymore, it was a budding business, pulling in more cash than Jake's struggling restaurant. Soon, I was handing him $2,000 a month to cover the house bills, making it look like his contribution. Despite my success, Anna and Sophia still treated me like a freeloader. "She does nothing around here, just prances about making her silly videos," Anna would snipe when she thought I was out of earshot. Sophia was no better, echoing her mother's sentiments and adding her own barbs about how I should be doing more housework like a real woman. Then Jake's restaurant hit a rough patch. He came to me, looking more worn than I'd seen him in months. The restaurant needs a cash injection badly. Can you help out?" His eyes were pleading. I didn't hesitate, transferring $10,000 for what he called urgent developments. He was thankful, genuinely so, but it wasn't long before he was asking for more. "Just another $5,000 for the bills this month," he said softly, almost ashamed. I agreed, because I could afford it, and because he was still the father of my son, who he absolutely adored. But deep down, I felt the imbalance growing, not just in our finances, but in our relationship too. Life at Jake's family home was always strained, but it turned unbearable when Sophia got married and brought her husband, Mark, to live with us. The house was packed, and any semblance of privacy or peace I had carved out for myself and my son vanished overnight. Anna, never one to mince words, started calling me lazy and a parasite right to my face. "You do nothing around here," she'd snap as I tried to manage my online work while keeping an eye on my son. "Just taking up space." It didn't help that Sophia was now expecting her first child, and Anna made it clear they needed more room, implying that my son and I were in the way. "Soon, there'll be another baby in the house, and we can't have freeloaders taking up space," Anna declared one evening, her eyes darting pointedly in my direction. The atmosphere grew colder, and then, as if things couldn't get any worse, Jake announced he had to leave town for a few weeks to handle some urgent matters with his restaurant in another city. He packed up and left, kissing me and our son goodbye, oblivious to the storm he was leaving behind. I tried to keep things normal, taking my son to school and continuing with my videos in the park. But the day everything truly fell apart was like any other until it wasn't. After picking up my son from school, we walked back home, chatting about his day, only to find our belongings, suitcases, bags of clothes, and even my son's toys, piled up outside the front door. Confused and heartbroken, I rang the doorbell, only to be greeted by the cold faces of Anna and Sophia through the window. They opened the door just a crack, enough to speak but not enough to let us in. "You need to find somewhere else to stay," Anna said, her voice harsh and unwavering. "What are you talking about? What about Jake? What will I tell him?" I demanded, my voice rising in panic and anger. Sophia laughed, a cruel, cutting sound. "Tell him whatever you want. He's not here to care, is he?" I tried calling Jake, but my calls went unanswered, sinking me deeper into a mix of despair and fury. With no other options, I gathered our things and managed to get us a room at a nearby hotel. Sitting there, in that impersonal room with my confused and upset son, I felt a shift inside me. This wasn't just a temporary retreat, it was a forced eviction from a life I could no longer tolerate. I had just finished unpacking our essentials when my phone pinged with a new message. It was from Sophia, which was odd because we hardly communicated directly, especially not since the fallout. Her message was shockingly cheerful. "Thought you might want to see what your beloved husband has been up to," accompanied by a link. Curiosity piqued and anxiety tightening in my chest, I clicked the link. It redirected me to a social media page filled with photos of Jake, photos that showed him not on some urgent business trip as he claimed, but enjoying cozy dinners and walks on the beach with another woman. The timestamp on the latest photo, just yesterday. I sat there, numb, the phone slipping slightly from my hand as the realization hit me. He wasn't just away on business, he was living a whole other life without us. Anger, sharp and bitter, bubbled up, but before I could drown in it, my son tugged at my sleeve. "Mommy, are you okay?" His small voice, filled with concern, pulled me back from the edge. I forced a smile, scooping him up into my arms. "Yeah, buddy, I'm okay. Just a little tired, that's all." I sat there, staring at the screen, a mix of anger and betrayal coursing through me. All this time, I had been the financial backbone for his failing restaurant and for his family, who had just thrown me and my son out like yesterday's garbage. And here he was, living a double life at my expense. Over the next week, my phone was incessantly buzzing with calls from Jake. When I finally answered, his voice was laced with feigned concern. "Emily, where are you guys? I heard about what happened. You should come back. We have bills to sort out, and the restaurant needs more funding." His words made my blood boil, but I kept my tone neutral. "Sure, Jake. We can discuss it. I'll come by tomorrow." "Great, I really think it's best to handle these things in person," he replied, sounding relieved. Hanging up, I felt a cold determination settle over me. He had no idea that I knew about his affair, or that I had no intention of playing the forgiving wife who footed his bills. Tomorrow's meeting would be a turning point, and I was ready for it. Dropping my son off at school that morning felt like the calm before the storm. As I drove to my mother-in-law Anna's house, where I knew Jake, Anna, and my pregnant sister-in-law, Sophia, would be waiting, my stomach churned with nerves and resolve. When I arrived, Jake was obviously relieved and maybe even a bit happy to see me, unlike Anna and Sophia, whose faces were marked with discontent. Without wasting any time, I pulled out the divorce papers from my bag and handed them to Jake. His shock was palpable, his eyes widening as he scanned the documents. Anna and Sophia couldn't contain their initial reactions and began to smile, thinking this was their victory. That smile quickly faded when I addressed them. Don't be too quick to celebrate. You've been living off my efforts all this time. Jake's face fell as he admitted to them. The restaurant isn't doing well. It hasn't been for a long time. The revelation sparked immediate outrage from Anna and Sophia. They turned on him, their earlier glee replaced with anger as they scolded him for keeping them in the dark and for losing what they considered their financial safety net, me. Sophia, ever the brazen one, sneered at me. Well, since Jake makes less than you, he'll just have to file for alimony. How's that for justice? Jake perked up at this, nodding eagerly, as if it were some sort of twisted victory. I almost laughed at the absurdity. That's where you're wrong, Sophia. And Jake, I continued, turning to face him squarely. You won't see a cent for alimony. I know about the affair. The color drained from his face. How did you? Your sister sent me everything. Pictures, dates, places. I said, pointing to Sophia, whose face turned a shade paler. Thanks to her, I have all the evidence I need. What followed was a furious back and forth among them, a mess of accusations and denials. I let them drown in their quarrel for a moment before speaking up again. I'm also taking back everything I paid for. Every appliance, every piece of furniture. Their arguing ceased as the reality of the situation hit them. I had already arranged for movers, and as they began hauling away the refrigerator, the washing machine, the flat-screen TV, and even the fancy blender I had bought last Christmas, Anna and Sophia watched, their faces streaked with tears and disbelief. You can't do this. We need those things. Anna cried out, her voice breaking. I did do this, and I need them too, I replied, my voice steady but not unkind. The movers continued their work, clearing out nearly half of what filled their home. As I watched them take away the last of the items, a weight lifted off my shoulders. I was no longer tied to this house, these people, or their deceit. I turned back to see Jake, who now looked small and defeated, his dreams of easy money evaporating. Take care of your sister and your mother, Jake. That's your job now, I said, not unkindly, before turning to leave. As I walked away, I knew that this was more than just a physical departure, it was my final step out of their manipulative grasp, a move towards reclaiming my life and securing a better future for my son and myself. After everything, the divorce was more of a relief than a burden. I filed for compensation due to Jake's infidelity and secured alimony for our son. My lawyer handled everything, making the process as smooth as possible under the circumstances. Life changed dramatically for Jake's family too. His restaurant, unable to stay afloat without my financial support, finally went bankrupt. The family house was sold off to cover debts, a stark testament to their unsustainable lifestyle. Meanwhile, Anna and Sophia, left scrambling, tried reaching out to me, their messages a mix of apologies and pleas for help. But after everything, I couldn't let myself be pulled back into their chaos. I blocked their numbers without a second thought. Sophia's husband left her, and now the whole lot of them, Jake, his mom, his sister, and her child, live crammed into a small rented apartment. It's a tough situation, but one they brought upon themselves. In contrast, life for me and Alex is looking up. We've settled into a nice rhythm in our own rented apartment, a cozy place that feels more like home every day. My YouTube channel and Instagram page have really taken off, resonating with women, especially new moms who are trying to find their way back to fitness. Seeing the positive impact of my work has inspired a new idea, launching online fitness courses specifically tailored for postpartum women. I'm excited about the possibilities and the chance to help others who have been in my shoes. There was so much to do, but for the first time in a long while, the future seemed bright and brimming with potential. Here in our little sanctuary, with my son's laughter echoing off the walls, I felt a profound sense of peace. We had made it through the storm, and now, it was our time to shine.